Ooh, welcome all to the Xbox Expansion Pass, your place for thoughtful discussions on gaming without the console war noise. Please make sure you're subscribed, be it over on iTunes, Spotify, or right here on YouTube. I'm your host, Luke Lohr, the Insipid Ghost, as always, joined by my co-host, the Intrepid Captain Logun. This week, we are tracking the Xbox Developer Direct highlights, including big showings for Forza and Fable. We've got some big Game Pass drops like Death Stranding and Space Marine 2, as well as a restructured outlook for just what Xbox's 2026 looks like. We hope you enjoy the show. Logan, before we start the show, we like to start the show with words of night. I messed it up. Oh, I almost had it, my friend. We like to start the show by offering those who have made our gaming weeks better. But first, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing good. I am ready for the quote unquote, I don't know why they call it Midwest. Midwest to me is Colorado. The Midwest storm that is about to hit everyone. I'm hoping I don't lose power, because if I did, then that would mean that I would actually have to go read a lot of the books that I've purchased and bundle up in like my bed with a bunch of blankets and stuff like that. But outside of that, it's been a really good week for news and information. I'm really excited to talk about all the stuff that we're going to be diving into today with the Xbox Direct and whatnot.
Yeah, no, I fully agree with you, man. As far as that news stuff is concerned, that storm looks to be hitting me later this evening, but not nearly as bad as was anticipated, at least in my area. But I do hope anyone that does get hit stays safe and sound. Yeah, a lot of good gaming news, man. That Developer Direct, a lot of good stuff to talk about in that, and then a weird one as well. That's for sure. But also some cool Game Pass stuff. And then, of course, we got some of the Ubisoft up to their old hat again. But first, I want to give a shout out to Player One Podcast. If I'm correct, if I'm accurate, if the news is accurate, they hit their 1000th episode. Shout out to CJ. Shout out to Super Pack, Phil and Greg over there. Wow, pretty cool.
Yeah, I never thought I would see it. It's strange because they normally stream on Sundays.
Mm-hmm.
That is out the window. They now do like I think it's a Thursday evening or like a Friday evening, and it's totally thrown me off from what I've expected, because I'm usually like I have them up in the background on like Sunday nights when I'm like doing notes for the pod for Keelhaul. And so it was really cool to see, like last week they hit 999, and this week they hit 1,000 episodes. And I know you could sit there and say like, okay, well, 1,000 isn't too bad if it's if you're doing like a daily show, or you're doing little shorts or something like that. But 1,000 episodes for a weekly podcast over the years is insane. Like I just celebrated 400. I've been doing this for almost 8 years. So to not even be halfway to where they're at, and having to do it, they have stuck with it. And shout out to CJ and Phil and I guess Greg too. Greg.
Yeah. They've been on show multiple times for us.
They have, yeah, and they've been doing a really good job over there. It's good to hear from them. It's like a group of friends that I keep in touch with vicariously through their podcast. So it's nice to kind of get those updates throughout their life.
Graybeards, they used to work for Electronic Gaming Monthly, like way back in the day. Like
they're old EGM guys, and the stories that they told about like their time at EGM are fantastic, because it feels just as like kit bashed together as some of the stuff that we do.
You're right. You're right.
You think about like those publications being like, fully fledged publications that have like all these like checks and balances and stuff with the systems. No, they're riding skateboards down the hallway. They're shooting each other with Nerf guns and stuff. It's like they have fun there, and they had fun there, and they like had to make stuff up, and it was just a different time and era for gaming news, in a way that now it feels like what you and I do, we could be scrutinized so easily on the news that we provide, and to sit there and look at like what they do, and I'm like, nobody questioned them. Nobody questioned them, because they had like they were a publication. We're just YouTubers and podcasters. We have comment sections. they got mail, but they didn't have to. They didn't have to share that. Nobody had to make that public.
Mm-hmm. No, you're right. You're absolutely right, man. But good shout outs to them. Congratulations. They've been wonderful friends of the show, bringing their expertise on, having us on their show at times. And then, of course, CJ, great friend in Sea of Thieves, great friend in game development. It's just cool to see. Who's your shout out, man?
Mine is actually going to be to the Nerd Chat guys. Listening to their episodes and stuff, it was good to see Jose back and also in chat as well too. And it's just one of those shows that I like to kind of hear like everyone's perspective, because they kind of know where people are going with it and stuff. But shout out to them. They've been doing a fantasy league with us and a few other podcasts for the last couple of years. And you and I, well, I'm not going to get into that. I'm going to leave the tea for some other show. But I wanted to shout them out because they wanted to have their community more involved. And the way that they're doing it is through the Fantasy Critic League. And so they're going to be doing a fantasy league for 2026 to see who drafts the best games. And I thought that was really nice. And rightly so. I think it's good that Daddy Diwali is going to be more of the manager of the league as opposed to like a participant, because the person who makes the rules seems to do fairly well. And not to say that there's any collusion or anything that like Joe would say, but I like the fact that they're doing something to try and give. We got a puppers. Aw, look at that puppy.
She's been gone for a week, so I finally got her back. She and my wife were visiting family. Finally got my puppy back.
Aw, that is too big for a puppy. But
she's getting big.
Yeah. But I like that they're doing a fantasy league, man. So shout out to them for working on getting that set up. It'll be very interesting to see like how that plays out throughout the year. Hopefully they do some checkups and stuff, because I think that was one of the failings on the one that we were with is that we never really had like checkups throughout the year to talk about like how people's leagues are doing or like what they thought about their drafts. And I think that there was a commentary that could have been really harnessed by bringing us all in together for like a week and after a quarter and being like, all right, what games did we think we're going to do better, and what were some of the surprises behind them that that was something that I was like, oh, that would be interesting to kind of see like how are the leagues looking, who's doing well, who's doing poorly, and seeing what pickups people did throughout the week based on like different announcements, especially with stuff like Summer Games Fest and the Xbox Showcase and things like that. I think that would have been fun, but they're doing their own thing, and I commend them for really kind of trying to get out there and engage with their community, because their community is there for them.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, and I hope people enjoy it and take advantage of it. Those are good guys. They're wonderful supporters of our show. They've been just good friends in general, so I hope they enjoy themselves. And I know they're looking for more people. And Nerd Chat is in our chat and said, hit up Daddy Diwali if you want in. So yeah, absolutely do that. Quick request. We have a fantastic community. I see Beans in the chat. I see Gentlestone, Nissa Hauer. The Muffin Mon is here. Our buddy Clutch Kwando. Big B Money in the house as well. And Addy Zero is in the house as well. Good to see you guys. I hope you're doing well. Silent Cypher gracing us with his presence. Good to see you, Silent Cypher. For anybody that's not subscribed, please do so. Hit that like button. It makes a huge difference. If you're over on iTunes or Spotify, it'd be wonderful if you hit that subscribe button there as well. We ask a lot of our community in terms of support if they have the time and energy, and we appreciate when you guys take the time to do that. So we appreciate you guys tremendously. Logan, an incredible week. I think we'd be remiss if we did not start off by talking about this Xbox Developer Direct. It hit. I think it was a big W for Xbox in a lot of ways. A W with a question mark in some respects, but man, oh man, a lot to talk about here. I'm going to start off the way that the Developer Direct started off with Forza Horizon 6. This game is going to be launching on May 19th, 2026. So just around the corner. Set to launch on Xbox Series S and X, as well as PC, with the Premium Edition having early access on May 15th. They did state very clearly, for the record, that a PlayStation 5 version arrives later this year. the team is promising the biggest map in Forza Horizon history. Now, I want to start off I'm impressed, but Forza Horizon 6, it's looking fantastic, but you have to talk honestly about the pricing because a lot of players are frustrated when they do look at that pricing. The premium edition is now $120. That is more expensive than Forza Horizon 5, and it does not include all the future DLC. Even Game Pass subscribers are having to drop $60 for that premium edition upgrade just to get early access and the main DLC bundle. And with the standard, deluxe, and premium edition add-ons, it feels a little bit more complicated than Forza Horizon's past. And for a series that really does rely on ongoing DLC and front-loaded pricing, this feels like a very tough pill to swallow. It's a great game. This looks to be a great game. It's a great franchise, but this is rough for consumer optics.
Yeah, I don't really can't really say I'm a big fan of $120 for a premium game that doesn't include the actual like full list of like DLC updates that are coming. That was one of the nice things that at least came with the premium edition for $40 with Forza Horizon 5. We got access to that DLC, and maybe that's because they're kind of hoping that people will go into this with the impression that that's actually going to be the case. It's an expectation, I guess, at this point. But I would be surprised to find out that this wasn't their answer to not raising the base cost up to 80, because we've seen them try and do this a couple times in the past already. They are keeping the $70 price tag on the base game, which I think is standard for this generation, thanks to Sony, who kind of kicked off the $70 price point. And it kind of kicked up with their $60 games on PS4, and then the $10 additional for the PS5 upgrade. And then Nintendo came in and decided that $80 was okay for Mario Kart. It's tough for me to say, like, yes, you should get this game at $70 if it's going to be in Game Pass. I honestly think that this is one of those cases where you're better off going with the Game Pass version and then just letting the DLC come and find out what you want. There are going to be the whales out there, the diehard fans that are going to be there for the premium. And as much as they don't like it, they will probably end up spending that $120. I already know I have a friend who will most definitely be spending the $120 on there. But I can't imagine that he's very, very pleased with that. But I know racing is one of his loves outside of Destiny 2. And because of that those are like the two things that he spends his time on is literally Destiny 2 and Forza. So for him, the buy-in is high, but it's not going to be that much over the course of time. It's going to be more, but it's not going to be much more than what he was anticipating to begin with. But they need to try and understand like where the economy is. And I don't know if they're trying to like get more because they need to, because they're being asked to, because that's what's required. But I was under the impression that games going over to PlayStation was going to get some of that money that was left on the table, which would help the costs of things. And with Game Pass going up twice in the last year for its cost, we're now up to $30 a month for the premium. And now we're looking at a $60 buy-in if you want the premium edition to Forza Horizon 6 on Game Pass. It's not a good look. It is not what consumers are going to think is a good value for what they're getting, especially if they're not even guaranteed the DLC that previously was included in this kind of purchase. So it's not a good look. And I don't think that Xbox should feel good about it at any level, because that's not what they should be doing to try and retain customers at this point.
Fully agree. You said very well articulated, I might add as well, because this is very much a response to the walk back of $80 games back down to 70 because that was a mistake. But when you look at what premium means, and then you look at you get a few days early access. That's become standard in our current gaming, zeitgeist, I guess you would say. But you look at the cost hikes of Game Pass. You look at what they're doing with expansions, the packs, not all of the car packs. The game is included in Sunburst. Not, I need a spreadsheet to look at this and figure out what I'm getting. And have we not learned? And it's very, very clear once again that Xbox is trying to do right. They're trying to make games, and Microsoft Gaming is completely tone deaf. And it's very frustrating because Xbox has been waiting for wins. The Xbox fans have been waiting for wins for so long. This game looks incredible. Make no mistake, this game looks incredible. I am so excited to play Forza Horizon 5. But you're going to get far less money from me than you did on Forza Horizons 3, 4, and 5. Games that I adore because of this monetization model, because of the way that they are approaching bringing it to different fans across multiple platforms. It is very tone deaf of the current economic state of a number of consumers across multiple countries. It's very tone deaf in a number of ways to what gamers expect from the Forza Horizon franchise. And it's very disappointing that a game that is going to be the caliber of Forza Horizon 6, the developers at Playground Games that are clearly stepping up their game for their studio output and quality, akin to Obsidian, I might add, that they are now going to be kneecapped by stories and articles written appropriately and discussed about monetization models instead of the quality of the game. And that's a damn shame. That's a damn shame. And I'm very disappointed in that. So my criticism comes with the economic model. My celebration is, Logan, this thing looks cool.
It does. And I think that that's thankfully one of the things that I'm going to enjoy about it through Game Pass, because they're clearly looking at, because I mean, we've been talking about the making meaningful purchases for a while here. And to be perfectly honest, I am still subscribed to the premium edition up until I think it's August of this year, August or September. I can't quite remember. But it's one of those things where it's like, am I spending $30 a month? Am I getting the value out of that $30 a month? Because I need to realize that I need to justify that. And their perspective on this seems to be, let's inflate the cost of games that we normally would have at a higher value. And if they could do 80 with Forza Horizon 6, I absolutely believe that they would have, because I feel like a jump from 80 to 100 and 100 to 20 is a $20 bracket that makes more sense than a $30 bracket and a $20 bracket. Mm-hmm. And in my mind, I feel like there was very much a debate internally about whether or not the base game should be 70 or 80. And the marketing guys won on the premium and like premium, or what I'm trying to remember what they call it.
Get your spreadsheet out, bud.
I know. I got to get the spreadsheet going. The deluxe, the deluxe and the premium. It makes more sense to me that the marketing guys were saying, well, it's only a $20 jump from 80 to 100. And it's only a $20 jump from 100 to 120 for the premium. And they're like, well, we can't sell a game at 80. And they're like, well, if you're going to do that, then we still want to keep the deluxe and premium at 100 and 120. Otherwise, I imagine that it probably would have been more in line with a 90 and 110 that we've seen in other instances with other games. So in my mind, I absolutely believe that this game would have been an $80 game if there wasn't so much outrage and pushback about Outer Worlds 2 being an $80 game.
Okay, so I want to point out, you just exhibited my, first of all, again, very well articulated, Logan, but you just proved my absolute point. And I was like, all right, monetization is going to be the talk, but let's talk about the game. It looks so good. And you couldn't even help but go back because that's what's happening. And I think that's the problem and a darn shame. Sorry, guys, I'm on it today. I do love this question from Gentlestone in our chat, Logan. But it's okay for Grand Theft Auto 6's price to be $150. People seem okay with that, or most people do. So I don't know if that's actually the case, but I think many people would be. And there are a couple reasons and factors for that. First, when it comes to Forza Horizon, there is a precedent set in the modern gaming era for what people expect from a Forza Horizon game, base game, and premium purchase. Early access, get all your car packs, expansions. They expect a silly expansion and a serious esque expansion. You know what I mean? Like a Hot Wheels, a Lego, and then you get a mountain terrain or a new weather thing or something like that. So there's precedent set with Forza Horizon, and with Grand Theft Auto, you've got a game industry event surrounding its launch that is not annual by any means. In fact, it's not even been within a decade.
It's not even been in one generation.
Right. And there's a quality bar that is set to be a bit different. And so I think it's a fair question to ask, but it does have an answer. So that's, I guess, my approach in that one. I'm still gonna bring us back to the idea that I think this game looks beautiful. I think it looks cool. I very much trust Playground with gameplay.
Yeah.
I do not know what edition I'll be picking up. And full disclosure, we've gotten the previous Forza Horizons for coverage purposes, so I want our audience to be aware of that. We'll see if that happens again, because things are very different, and we land differently on different radars now. But like, where my monies go, I'm not renewing Game Pass right now. I'm just not. Like, it expires in November for Ultimate. How and what will depend on market conditions at the time, how much I'm invested into the Steam ecosystem, what Xbox is doing business-wise, and what games are coming, and whether or not month to month and sales. And so we'll see. But Forza Horizon 6 looks amazing, and right around the corner, May 15th for early access. Really excited for that. Much like the other games announced, it is coming to PlayStation. Very much appreciative of that aspect, because that's just the way of that's just the way it is now, right? In many ways, Xbox is we're just multi-platform, and we cover Xbox, so we're okay with that. And we're not having console war noise there. And so I'm looking forward to this. I'm looking forward to playing with Joe and my friends in Forza Horizon, because I really love this franchise. It's genuinely a blast. I enjoy racing games that are a bit arcadey, hence my love for Sonic Racing Cross Worlds, hence my love for previous Forza Horizons. Cool. Looking forward to it. And just quick shout out to Addy Zero. He's been a member for 16 months. My friend, you are keeping the lights on, the content coming. I am grateful to you for being a supporter of XEP. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. To speak to the actual game itself, it looks like they are taking the formula that they had with 6 or with 5 and just kind of expanding upon that. I like the idea. I don't know how well this is going to work in practice, but I like the idea of having a plot of land that you get to design and develop up over time as kind of like your complex, and it's going to be a home in the way like you have a house in a town in Animal Crossing, and then you have an island, and people come to visit your island and they check out like what you've done with it and all the stuff that's been going on. I like that they are doing something like this with Forza to try and showcase, like, you know, if I go to your complex and you have your favorite cars on display, I'll be able to take a look and see like what were the cars that spoke to you? How did you kit them out? What were the liveries that you decided to put on them? You know, what's your complex look like? We drive around or we walk around in there. With mine, you know, I would probably showcase like some of the specialty cars that they had, like especially with 5 having stuff like the DeLorean and other cars, you know, that they bring in. If it were 4, I'd have the Warthog in my complex being shown off and stuff. So there's definitely things about 6 that I'm looking forward to. The teaser at the end of the trailer, hinting at some sort of mech, whether it be Gundam or Robotech, or, you know, whatever one that they wanted to do. I'm interested to see what they try and do with Forza when it comes to the cultural influence from Japan. There is a very strong cultural impact to our culture in the United States based on movies and influence from what Japanese culture has done with them, you know, driving around in the mountains and having those really tight hairpin turns. You know, Initial D is still one of like the top racing animes out there. So I would be very impressed to see, like, are they going to pull IP from different areas that actually bring out some of the cultural references in Japan, like Initial D? Or are they going to go the route of like a Fast and the Furious with Tokyo Drift? Are they going to fall back on mainstays like Hello Kitty and Mario, or not Mario? I guess Mario wouldn't be in there, but I'm thinking just like important cultural icons of Japan when it comes to gaming and and pop culture, but Gundam and Godzilla and stuff like, are those things going to be things that we see in the future with this? And if that's the case, I would like to know kind of going forward peaks about that. But that's the expectation that I have. Whether they actually do that with Forza Horizon 6 remains to be seen, but I'm hopeful that they understand the homework assignment. And based on what we've seen, it feels like they already do.
Well said. I'm very much agree with you. I do want to see a lot of cultural icon IP showing up in this. I think they've missed opportunities in the past with some of the icons and IP available to them, but the Forza Horizon series is ripe for that. You talked about like walking around people's garages. I hope desperately I get a Warthog and a Centaur and other Xbox related IP vehicles to show off. I hope desperately I get to dodge Godzilla stomping, or the Transformers More Than Meets the Eye, as Gentle Stone calls out, are next to me on the road, or there's a Tokyo Drift. These initial D references. Yes, do those things, tongue in cheek or full IP shown. Do a crossover. You can't get Mario, but you can get Sonic the Hedgehog. He's everywhere. You know what I mean? Like, why not? So I do hope they do just that. Big shout out, by the way, to Starfield Guy, member for 2 months. Hey, appreciate you for sticking around for that second month and hanging out with us. We really appreciate the support. Thank you so much. Starfield Guy says Forza Horizon 6 is going to be monumental. I really hope so. And I hope, sincerely, it's not the monetization that takes away from it, because I want to celebrate those things. I hope also, Logan, and I'm making this very clear, I hope that when it does launch on the PlayStation, you get a PlayStation IP represented. Get a car livery after Astrobot that's provided by PlayStation, because I know people are going to have it, right?
Yeah.
Like, put a little Gran Turismo love in there. Do something. Why not? You got nothing to lose in that front. Xbox is the world's biggest third-party publisher. Make love, not war. No console war noise. Celebrate it, because that's what's going to make Forza Horizon successful. And I want that.
I have a feeling if it's anything, and the past is precedent here, if it's anything like what Sony's done with specific IP or cosmetics that have been in Xbox games that have made their way over there, I am a little concerned about how they may approach it, because if you look at Sea of Thieves as an example here, when they did the initial launch for Sea of Thieves over on PlayStation, they had a premium and a deluxe version as well. And you could get some of like the cosmetics over there on the PlayStation version. But the trouble is that some of the legalities that they had in place meant that you could only actually access some of those cosmetics if you were currently playing on the PlayStation console itself, not just through the game, even though it was still tied to your Microsoft account. So I am a little concerned that if Sony were to get some sort of IP specific related cosmetics, that it would be specifically tied to the PlayStation version of that, and Xbox players wouldn't be able to have the enjoyment of reaching out and getting a hold of some of the IP that Sony fans have enjoyed for years.
No, it's a good point, because past is precedent in many ways, but I do think slowly, far slower than Xbox, of course, and by way of just console sales managing their expectations. But I think Sony is slowly coming around to the idea that, we do make more money if certain things are available. And you can cite Helldivers 2 having Halo content and it selling like gangbusters over on PlayStation. So we'll see how open they are to those things. It is interesting that Fable's launching day and date onto PlayStation. Kiln is launching day and date onto PlayStation, I believe. But Forza is not. And I think that comes down to dev kits. And I do want to address and talk about that aspect of all of the developer direct, because Todd says no Switch 2 announcements for the Xbox games is odd. I do want to talk about that, Logan, but I would like to do that towards the end of our show. Not the end of this segment, I should say, because it is an interesting thing to note.
Yeah, definitely.
Let's switch over to Beast of Reincarnation. Logan, did I cover everything that you wanted to say about Forza before we move on?
I think that was pretty much it as far as Forza goes. I'm looking forward to jumping into it, much like I did with 5. It'll be very curious to see what those tie-ins are going to do, and I'm glad that they're at least giving a bit of a tease on that. But it's a known quantity for Xbox, I think, at this point. So less I guess, questionable questions going into what we're going to be expecting, and probably why they gave a firm date on that one.
Okay. Good call. Good call. All right, we're switching over to Beast of Reincarnation now. This is Game Freak's ARPG. Game Freak showed off more of Beast of Reincarnation, their new action RPG launching in summer of 2026 on Xbox, PlayStation 5, and PC, as well as coming day one into Game Pass. You get to play as Emma, who is a sealer in a post-apocalyptic Japan, fighting corrupted Malefics with the help of her dog, Ku. Combat blends real-time swordplay, parries, command abilities that tie the two characters together. This feels like a very big step for one of the Pokemon developers in Game Freak, and a notable third-party win for Xbox in 2026. I had a lot of thoughts watching this one, questioning whether it's a Souls-like or just an action game. But I don't know if you know this, Logan. They mentioned Pokemon a few times. Did you know they made Pokemon?
Did they make Pokemon? Are they the people that make the Pokemon? I thought Nintendo made the Pokemon.
No. It was Game Freak, and I can tell you this because they mentioned it 412 times during the
That's
direct.
interesting, because looking at this gameplay, I would have said that this looked like pretty much most other games that I've seen. So I'm kind of surprised with the caliber of devs that they've got over there, making the Pokemon that they were actually coming out. No, Game Freak actually makes fantastic games when they're not making Pokemon. Believe
Agreed.
it or not, Pocket Jockey is still like one of the coolest little games that I ever had on my 3DS, and legitimately, like I think that to me, Beast and Reincarnation is one of those games where it's like they went and they played Nier Automata, and they thought, I want to have like a Final Fantasy Nier Automata. Can we do something? Who's got money? Has anybody got any money? Because we got an idea out here. We played Horizon Zero Dawn. We got an idea about what we can do. Last Guardian was really cool, and we wanted to do something like. So I feel like they've been playing a lot of games that are not the Pokemon game, even though it seems like they make the Pokemon game, and they wanted to do that on their own. I think Xbox is kind of marketing and helping with this, the idea that they had, but it definitely grabs me in a way that I enjoy the style of gameplay that they're presenting. But it feels like a lot of games. It feels like they are pulling a lot of things from a lot of different games to create a new IP, which is, I like new IP. I like when they're looking to do something unique. But it definitely feels like they're playing it a bit safe with the gameplay itself. Because everything I saw looked good, but it most definitely looked like a Final Fantasy VII remake Intergrade.
Yeah. No, it was strange to me to watch this game. First of all, you could tell they were passionate about it. You could tell they were excited to be making something that wasn't Pokemon. And again, this is not a console war noise place. Pokemon does not look like it runs well. It does not look updated or modern. And for the love that series deserves and gets, it's frustrating. So it's really cool to see them flexing in that realm, right? It really is. And I think it's really cool also that Xbox landed this big third-party AAA kind of partnership. This is pretty darn cool. It'll be interesting to see just how it does get received, just how good it is or isn't. It is launching simultaneously on PlayStation 5 and PC. It's going to have Game Pass support. I'm looking forward to seeing how it goes. This is a Game Pass game for me. This is one that I'm not going to buy day one, at least not at present. We always change our minds if we feel the need. But it's cool to see them flexing and developers celebrating. That is one of the best things about these dev directs, is it shows the passion of the developers. So bravo to that front. We'll see. It looks good though, and I was happy to see it on stage there.
Yeah. I think if people get a look at what this does, if hear me out, if Beast and Reincarnation does well, and especially hits with the PlayStation audience, which I think it will, because I think it's a game that really kind of hones in on the genres that do well over on PlayStation, I am hoping that Game Freak will take a look at what is currently driving their passion and what is also marketably doing well on sales, and try and decide, maybe we have a little more leverage when it comes to making games than just what Nintendo tells us to do with Pokemon, because Pokemon, for all intents and purposes, looks like it is built by the interns at Game Freak. And it plays like it's being built by the interns. And the interns are sitting there thinking like, this is fantastic. I'm making a Pokemon game. I don't know how to make a game, but I'm pretty sure I can figure it out. And they'll figure it out, but it's not going to be a great game. And this looks like it's made by a bunch of the people that are just like, I am so sick of these Totodiles. Can I do something other than making the most basic, bare bone, no texture at all characters and have them constantly battle each other until they faint, and I don't ever get to make them happy again. I just want to tell a story. Where's the story? And that's where I feel like Beast and Reincarnation is coming from. It feels like they have a post-apocalyptic Japan. There's a hero that's coming out of it. They're working with nature, but there's like just this plague that is going on, and the everything is there. Like everything looks like they've understood like what they want to tell the story about. And the gameplay looks like they are trying to engage it in a way that players will be familiar with. I mean, even just looking at the menus, it looks like they've got a really good job of like setting it up for a typical light RPG elements with your characters and stuff. So I'm hopeful that it does well, because it should hopefully do something for Game Freak that validates them as developers beyond just the make a Pokemon.
Yeah. No. Well said. Very well said. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Any other comments you want to have before I move on to the next title shown?
They need to come out with plushies of the little companion puppers. If they do that, the game or Beast and Reincarnation, the little pupper that comes with it.
Yeah, Koo. That's his name. Koo.
Oh, Koo. I thought you said who.
Oh no.
And I was like, well, I don't remember his name, but
there you go. I'm sure someone somewhere is. If nothing else, Etsy will take care of you.
Right.
All right. Switching into our third game of the Xbox Developer Direct, Double Fine. A surprise reveal. They showed off Kiln, which is a physics-based brawler coming in 2026 to Xbox, PlayStation 5, and PC. The hook is that you're actually going to be sculpting your fighter out of clay, and it'll shape and build you will shape and build a pot that will affect your movement, reach, weight, and how your attacks animate as well. These matches are supposed to be chaotic, with fighters expressing all different types of personality as they break apart and take hits, because of course they're made of clay. It's very much one of those creative experimental titles from Double Fine. You're making a pot in a kiln, you're customizing it, and it's a big contrast to all the big AAA titles that we've seen come out of Xbox of late. Ooh, Logan, I don't know how I feel about this one. I don't. Oh my goodness, I got some mean thoughts on this one. You start us off before I poo-poo the vibe.
Okay, so Kiln. Funny enough, I always thought Kiln ended with an M. So seeing this game, it ends with an N. I was very surprised. I was like, "Oh my god, I didn't realize what this word was."
Something today.
For years, yeah. I have not had very good experiences with kilns or pottery wheels. I've forever been traumatized by the movie Ghost and poor Patrick Swayze losing his life and not being able to properly have like his happily ever after. So when I saw this, I immediately got thrown back to the 90s, and I was just like, oh God, here we go again. Kiln is interesting because I think that the core base game is set in stone and
clay
and that the pottery aspect of it is just flavor. Because we saw in the actual trailer that when you create your kiln, you start off with different sized bits of clay. And it's small, medium, large, and you choose which one you want. That will then kind of dictate, based on like the limitations on how you shape it, on what type of abilities you have. So much like with a Mario Kart, if you want to go with speed, you go with the smaller wheels. If you want more traction, you go with the bigger wheels. And it's, you can customize it, but there's not really like so much customization that you can create and do whatever you want. You're going to be thrown into different abilities based on the size of clay that you're using and the general shape of your pot. I think the customization is going to come in with the glazes and the stickers to kind of like add what you want. But it's interesting to kind of look at this because it's something that I don't think Double Fine has ever done before. And with that, it's going to bring in some challenges, much like with, and I always go to Sea of Thieves as my references. Sea of Thieves was Rare's first online live service game, and they have had a lot of hardship trying to learn how to do that, how to manage that. And with this being Double Fine's first one that I know of, and feel free to correct me if I'm wrong on this one, I foresee there being a lot of speed bumps with how this is going to get set up. Because when we talk about online fighters, there's a lot of people who know a lot of stuff about online fighters that have expectations. When you talk about online shooters, there are a lot of expectations on what you should expect. This game feels like it falls within the realm of like a Splatoon where it's just kind of goofy and fun. And I wonder how long that is going to last, because in the world of gaming in this era, it doesn't feel like many of these games like Knockout City tend to last more than a year to 2 years.
Mm-hmm. Oh, man. I felt like every good and bad consumer in the gaming market when I saw this, because first of all, Tim Schafer is charming as can be, right?
Yeah.
A wonderfully kind man. That team, they look like they have so much fun. And Double Fine is exactly what we say we want from so many different developers. Be creative, make the game you want to make, celebrate it, all of this. And then I see it in Xbox Developer Direct, and I'm like, ugh, what? Why? Because I don't see this game selling at all. It reminded me of how I felt about Keeper, where I was like, this game looks beautiful, and I don't think anyone's going to play it. And then I think my co-host was going to compare it to God of War, you know? Like, do you remember that? Like, I struggle when I see something like Kiln, because truly, Logan, I do want developers to make the games they want to make. This game is made with love. Absolutely. In no way, shape, or form do I want to play this game in lieu of other titles. But I bet you if I played it, I'd have a blast. I bet if we got the opportunity to interview, I would love it. I would have a good old time. Could this be another example of, hey, we'll let you interview the developer of Avowed, and I play Avowed, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a whole new genre for me. I love this, right? Grounded was another example of that, where I'm like, I'll never play Grounded. Then I played it. I'm like, oh my gosh, I love it, right? Yeah. So I don't know what I expect from Kiln. I know that I wasn't happy watching it be in an Xbox Developer Direct at first, and then I thought to myself, what a fool I'm behaving like. And then I keep saying in all these other places that I want developers to be happy and make the games they want to make, and that we talk constantly about the AAA industry is killing the creative space, and that studios are allowed to live. And so I was just in this weird paradoxical confusion where I don't know if I'm the problem or open-minded to it, and I just don't know. But it's funny to me that Kiln exists and Hi-Fi Rush doesn't. It's funny to me that under the first party umbrella, I should say. It's just interesting that this is a game that's getting made, that Microsoft Gaming of all places is like, yes, you can make this. Cool. Awesome. I will tell you this also. I hope it's priced appropriately. Honestly, I think this game would crush it at $5. And I'm not joking. You put this game at $5 on its platforms, I bet you sell gangbusters. Streamers, kids, sure. This is another example of a game, though, where I'm very surprised we're not seeing a Switch launch. You got to think that's dev kit related to Todd's question earlier. Todd asked us, and I started because I want to bring it up. And in this moment, there's no Switch 2 announcements in any of the games we've seen. That is odd. Xbox is the world's biggest third-party publisher. They consistently talk about putting their games where they can. They're available on Steam, which is making a handheld space. They're making their own handheld. They're available on PlayStation, their HD biggest rival and such. They're not on Switch. Kiln looks like a game tailor-made for Switch, as do several of Xbox's titles now. So it is odd. You have to think that's related to dev kits. I don't know the details of that. I am surprised, but man, Kiln would crush it there. I genuinely want this game to be a $5 release on all platforms, and I want people to check it out. But I'm worried that anything over that people are going to write it off. Tell me if I'm crazy in the comments. Chat, let me know. What do you guys think?
I honestly, looking at Kiln, this was one of those ones where I initially started watching it. I was like, okay, this is not a me game. But when I played Splatoon back on the Switch 1, I didn't know if that was going to be a me game either. And that game kicked off why I started streaming, because it was so much fun. Looking at my perspective for this, I recognize that I may not be sold on this trailer, but I may be sold on the gameplay when I actually see it in action and people are talking about their experience, as opposed to the developers kind of showcasing why they wanted to make it. Them wanting to make it gives me enough reason to say this is something I will play on Game Pass. But if this were going to be a game that was being sold, I think that they would not make much, but I think it would incentivize people if they could make it a $10 to $20 game. I think $20 is a reasonable expectation for the cost of this, but the game does look like you would have fun in it. I just think in my mind, when I'm looking at this game, the replayability of online games, especially brawlers like this, comes into you play a game, you win, you lose, you get right back into it. Rocket League, Fortnite, online games like this, you get in, you get out, and then they get you right back into the gameplay. So you don't have enough time to dwell on the loss. And that is the part of this game that I'm concerned about, because the gameplay loop, the quicker you can get someone back into a match, the less time they have to fume over the mistakes that they made. And one of the troubles that I'm running into is when you play Kiln, do you make a pot, and does that pot sustain beyond the match? Because if you have to go in and make a new pot every time you want to do a match, that doesn't feel like a good way of doing it. So there's a lot of questions that I have about how the gameplay loop actually works, because if I just go in and sit down and I want to make 10 pots and never play one of those games, it might be worth it for me, because that could be a cool game just to kind of sit there and be like, you know what, I just want to make pots. I want to see what I can make. I just want to relax and have a reason to chill out, very much in the way that they talked about when they were actually showing like why they wanted to make this game. But if I have to make a pot every time I lose a match because it was destroyed during that match or whatever, that's going to be a barrier to entry for me to want to actually engage with the normal gameplay of it, which is the brawler aspect. So I want to know more about this. And I think that there's some valid questions that haven't been answered based on what I've watched. So hopefully we'll get some interviews out there. Hopefully we'll get some more insight to how this game is going to work at a core replayable aspect to it.
Yeah, no, well said. I'm just, even $20 seems too much. I don't know. I don't see somebody buying this game for $20, but I want to celebrate games, and that's where I'm in this cycle,
Well, so the other aspect of this is I think that this is going to be a game that's going to hit well for younger kids, for kids and stuff. Like, this is going to be a great game. If you have, like a parent who has a child that they want to get into gaming, you can build and play around with making pots and seeing like what you can create. And then you get to go and actually smash those, which for a kid, smashing stuff that you're not normally allowed to smash, that's a great thing. Being able to destroy stuff, that's tons of fun. So I imagine that that's probably something that, we could see this being really, really well, or do really well for a younger generation that is not us in the 40s. And to speak to your point earlier, I don't know if it's dev kits that are struggling. The Switch 2 is selling faster than the Switch 1. It's doing better than the Switch 1 despite its launch titles that are currently available. And if Microsoft is purposefully avoiding the Nintendo Switch, they are absolutely doing themselves a disservice, because I actually think that there are a lot of the games that we saw that could absolutely do well on the Switch 2. I mean, we're still seeing support for the PlayStation 4, and that is a very old system at this point. Current generation is still 5 years old, and there's still some decent support out there for games on the PlayStation 4.
And this generation's been extended. I mean, it's pretty obvious. Even we're getting news that PlayStation is internally moving their hardware further out, and you
no
have
pills
to think
involved.
Yeah. Wish you hadn't said that. Now that Xbox is doing the same thing privately, you're probably also looking at some of the Steam Machine, Steam Frame stuff getting moved. So yeah. All right, Logan. I want to talk Fable. I want to talk Fable a lot. I want to read our patrons first.
Oh, okay. All right. I gotta wait.
Oh, yeah. All right. Let's talk patrons here. We always give a shout out to our patrons over at patreon.com/Xbox Expansion Pass. These are the people that have gone there, chosen to support financially. We appreciate every single one of them at the tier 2 and 3 level. You guys get yourself a nice little read aloud here. So we want to thank Jesse Norris, Glyphere, Jimmy, Matto 1606, Matt Valdez, Clutch Quando, Omen, Jesse Prius, Fatto, Aaron G, Nick Bentley, The Scarecrow, Ken Rosing, Fabian Winkler, Regis Stella the Brony Pirate, Rob Frawley II, Tal Zochi, Nicholas Johnson, Randall Thor 19, Hafrican, Game Positive, Jampack Sam, Dano 12, DJ Hero, Brendan Myers, aka The Winter Gamer, the Lord Sir Master James Suddy, and Sony's VP of Marketing, Kevin Butler. Thank you guys so much. We appreciate you. And to all of our supporters, I want you to know I've been working really hard on the back end of XEP, updating descriptions, updating tags, trying to change titles to be more appropriate to help the show grow. But none of that matters next to you guys being here. And so I'm so grateful to all of you. Thank you. If you see stuff that could use an update, drop a comment in there. It helps. Really, it does. All right, Logan. Here's some ASMR for you. Fable. Dude, Fable stole the show at the Xbox Developer Direct. We finally have a clear window, autumn 2026. And yes, it is launching day one onto Game Pass, but also coming to PlayStation 5 for the first time in the series, also on day one. Playground Games is building this reboot with Forza Tech, and it absolutely shows because this game looks incredible. The new footage, as well as the concept art, looks stunning, with Albion redesigned from the ground up and over 1,000 handcrafted NPCs, along with a tone that is more mature without losing that classic British humor. Reactions online, they are calling for Fable to get a glow up that it's always deserved, but also saying this is the glow up that it's always deserved. I'm telling you, if Xbox sticks this landing, this is going to be one of the biggest RPGs and games of 2026. What do you think?
I am just so ecstatic for this game, dude. When we saw the video of them kind of showcasing some of the environments, I was like, God, this game looks good. The environments look really, really good. Having the sit down with the studio, actually talking about what they can do or what they've been doing, how they've been working on this, how long they've been working on this. Oh, I can't wait. It's someone who has loved the Mass Effect series for its choices that are given to you. The Fable games were kind of kicking that off back in the day. Like, that and like Star Wars, Knights of the Old Republic, like you had choices. And choices impacted the rest of your gameplay. And we've seen that tried and tested in other genres and other games and stuff to success or not success. I will take Cyberpunk as an example, where you had choices and you had background history that impacted like how your dialogue went. But some of that didn't always really kind of pan out. Fable comes in and says, everything matters and you're going to know it right off the bat, and you're going to know it a lot. And I love that. I loved having the opportunity to do stuff like that with Avowed. I think this is taking it to the nth degree, and I can't wait. Like, we've talked about some of the choices that I've made when I did my Starfield playthrough, and many people out there could probably look at me and think that was probably not the best or morally acceptable thing to do. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to make those exact same kind of choices in Fable, and I can't wait. I am so excited to start finding out how I can observe the landscape of Albion and find out how can I get the title of being a complete, because that's what I want to. I want to find that out. I want to figure out what it is.
Let me fill in new listeners or people that may have forgotten. Logan allowed his wife to die
No, I didn't.
or killed her. Don't know which
No,
one. We're not sure. Then
she
took
died.
her outfit, put that outfit on his new girlfriend, and got married to her in that outfit.
Yeah.
Horrible. Horrible. Real quick, my friend, we have got to give a shout out to one Silent Cypher, the absolute GOAT, gifting 5 XEP memberships. Thank you so much, Silent Cypher. We appreciate the support. You are awesome. We appreciate you, my friend.
Yeah.
Thank you, man. That just, it means the absolute world. Couple chat comments here regarding Fable. I'll get to that one. Fable, sorry, Machine XP says Fable looks incredible. Been waiting 16 years for this. So happy for you to get or hopefully get the game that you want, my friend. Our boy Clutch Kwando says Fable looks amazing. Igor says Fable is just what I wanted to be, a dream come true. Muffinmon, I'm so excited. Nerd Chat, Fable is gonna be sick. Absolutely cool. Gentle Stone saying it looks amazing. I can't wait to see it fully optimized and polished. And perhaps the most telling of all the comments, Logan's girlfriend, current girlfriend, not sure, hearing the story about the wife and the dress and such, and just commenting, LOL. And Gentle Stone sums it up well. A-Chick, watch your back.
No, see, if something happens to A-Chick, I will make sure that whoever comes after knows that A-Chick was first.
Let me tell you right now, if I get subpoenaed, we're gonna have a problem.
Okay. My character's wife in Starfield, because there's a pivotal choice, and they don't tell you who goes to that, who goes to, like, during that going to that experience is like, that person is going to die. So I was like, oh, well, I'm gonna send the most trusted person I have. I'm gonna make sure that whoever goes there, not only the most ruthless, but also the best looking one, and I'm gonna send them to go take care of it. And then they killed off my character, and I was like, well, this is stupid. Also, I just, but they let you take the clothing off of anyone. And I was like, well, this is the best looking outfit in the game, unless you get mods. So I was like, all right, well, this is just if I'm gonna have to play this game and try out other avenues and stuff, then I'll just put it on the next person and go that way. It's a game. It's a game. It's not, you're there to try and push the boundaries of the systems that they're giving you to do. And I'll probably be doing that with Fable, because Fable looks awesome. I'm looking forward to seeing.
Trying to save it.
No, I'm not trying to save anything. I stand by my decisions. I'm looking forward to seeing like what I can do, because there's, like much with like Outer Worlds and Outer Worlds 2, you could just kill whoever you wanted to and still progress through the game. Like there were no locks behind who was going to be expendable or not. And I did test that through with one of the first playthroughs that I did with Outer Worlds. And I found out that as much as they say that you can kill anyone and still finish the game, there's one character you can't kill, and that if you did, it would actually break the game. And I told them about that, and they're like, yes, you're right. So I am looking forward to seeing how the systems work in Fable, because it looks like they are building it around that choice-based system. But dude, when I watched this and I was seeing the combat, it called to me in the same way that the flow and design language around Hogwarts Legacy, with the way spells kind of flow with from one style to another. That's what I felt when I was watching Fable. And I was like, dude, going from like melee combat with hammers and swords or crossbows or repeater bows and stuff like that looked really, really good when you could then immediately transition into a spell to kind of fish someone off. And that looked really smooth. And that's what I'm looking forward to, because I really enjoyed that aspect of Hogwarts Legacy. And it's what really made that game shine, because it felt so natural to be a spellcaster in Hogwarts Legacy, that when I look at Fable, I see where they're going with that, and I see that is definitely something that they're focused on. And it's so important when it comes to those kind of RPGs, is to enjoy the combat as much as you enjoy the combat or the choice-based systems that they're offering.
No, good points. Well said. It's funny because Clutch Kwando in chat saying the Fable teaser mode made me want to go back and replay Avowed. Totally understand that, by the way, because it still had that magical, bright vibe to it as well. So I completely agree with you there. And I'm going to go back to about, I think when it hits that PS5 launch, along with the anniversary update as well. But Logan, I really like what you said about that the combat and it kind of capturing that Hogwarts Legacy appeal. It does look like that. I felt the same. I didn't know that that's what I felt, but once you articulated, I'm like, no, that is it. I was really encouraged by it as well. I love a game like this that has a good morality system. I'm also a big fan of the fact that that morality system doesn't play into giving you the horns and halo of the original Fable,
Yeah.
because I don't like that cosmetic shift that's not, I guess you would say, like, I want to choose what my character looks like. I don't
Yeah.
want the system to, but I can understand. I can see a world where they're like, you can make this happen if you want to. But I was really just fascinated by the way that the NPCs will behave. They really do have their own automated systems where, like, somebody's going to have a day where they go and sell things, and you can just stand and watch them sell for entire 24 hours. This really looks cool. I like that it's a full reboot, completely fresh continuity. I'm encouraged by the fact that Playground Games is flexing a bit. I like the Forza tech. I love their work. It really feels to me that Double Fine, Obsidian, and Playground Games all have just nailed release cadence for their scope and quality. Very interested to see if they land right, because in the case of Playground Games, the two games haven't come out this year, but they look good. They really look good. So I think this might be the game that Xbox fans have been asking Xbox to make for 2 generations. The game that they wanted it to be, the game that they've wanted to celebrate with their platform. It's interesting to see that Xbox is full tilt, releasing games nonstop, high quality games, and none of them are exclusive. But that's a moot point here. I think Fable's going to be special. I think a lot of people are going to be loving this thing. I hope it hits. I hope it hits big. Xbox needs it. The game industry needs it. Fans deserve it. And what a pathway it could pave for future titles, stuff that wasn't there. Whether it's third-person action type games, Magic games, I think they're carving out a nice niche for RPGs as well. And so I was just so happy watching it. And Logan, I never really liked Fable. I'm so excited for this. I absolutely want to play this one.
Yeah, the thing that's definitely going to be something that I want to play around with is they've talked about how you can really kind of go in and decide, like, do you want to buy an entire town's worth of shops and housing and have that impact to the actual town, how those how those changes are going to impact your reputation. But the thing that I really think is going to be interesting is the morality system that we've seen with Fable, that you've alluded to with, like, the horns and Halo, where you do positive, you do Paragon stuff if you're a Mass Effect fan, and you get the Halo. If you do Renegade stuff, you get the horns. But in this, they've talked about how morality is based on perspective. How kicking chickens around a town is a positive because they're sick of all the stupid chickens running around, and you get positive reputation on that. Whereas if you buy a shop, or you buy multiple shops and employ people, other shopkeepers are going to look at you negatively because you're stealing business and market share from them. And that's going to impact how they see you. They're going to start calling you, a monopolist or a tycoon, or, they're going to really kind of judge you for being what they consider greedy. And they're going to look at you with, like, an air of oh, well, you're too pompous to really understand where I'm coming from on my small shop. And, that's something that I would love to see just how deep that system goes, because it really does come to, like, everything about morality comes down to a cultural, like, acceptance, rules that are in place to determine, like, what is good and what is bad and how well you follow those. But a lot of it is perspective, and seeing, is perspective going to take as much impact with these characters? How deep does that shroud go? Because we've seen stuff like this before, and we've seen games like Ubisoft where they've tried to say, like, Watch Dogs Legion, like, everyone is a unique person and everyone has a backstory, and you can recruit anyone if you say the right thing, and they'll work, and you can get a grandma to come and steal stuff from a shop. And it's like, that system was there, but it wasn't nearly as deep as what people were kind of sold on by what was going on. And this, I'm hopeful that Fable is actually going to live up to their promise that these people have lives, that these people have day-to-day routines, and that their morality system is varied depending on what you do, as much as what their own guidance is.
I really hope it lands, because those systems are cool. They do give you a lot of options. If you want to focus on just building the town and becoming that tycoon, if you want to go slay the dragon, as it were, I really do want to see that. I really do. They make the game what you want. I played Avowed for the combat. I know people that played Avowed because they enjoyed the story and relationships and Sepidal's choices. I listened to our spoiler cast a few days ago, Logan, just as I was restructuring our channel on the back end. And it was like, man, Randall Thor looked for something different than you. Travis looked for something different than you. I looked for something different than you. And none of us agreed. But it was really like that game that gave you a lot. And if we're calling a spade, Avowed is the AA version of a Fable, right? And I say that endearingly, by the way, because I love Avowed. But like the scope and scale is so big here in Fable, and I'm just excited for it. And so truly want to see this. Can't wait for it. I love that they nebulously said autumn as opposed to a date.
Autumn.
What's that?
Who says autumn? It's fall. Just call it fall.
I like autumn. I like it. But I also think it was wise to say autumn in allowing some wiggle room, because Grand Theft Auto, and I know I had Jason Schreier on, was it a week and a half ago at this point?
Let's cancel.
He said that a major first party reached out to him and said, is Grand Theft Auto actually coming out? Should we move a date? And I was like, in my mind, I'm like, I wonder if it's Fable. Like, I really do wonder, because who else has got a major title on this scale with so much writing on it?
Yeah.
Other than Xbox. And I wonder that, right? But I think it's neat. Also, Forza Horizon is in May. Beast of Reincarnation, that one, I'm looking at my dates.
Summer, right?
Summer, I believe. Kiln is
spring.
Spring. And then Fable is autumn. Yeah. And that doesn't count Call of Duty. Nope. It doesn't count Halo Campaign Evolved. And then there were some games missing from this showcase that I was expecting to see. I was expecting to see Gears of War E-Day at this Dev Direct. Even like a tease, you know what I mean? Like and don't forget. And I had heard that it was going to be there at one point. Not an insider, not Nate the Hate, not any of them. But I had heard it was going to be. So
your uncle?
My uncle works at Xbox. But we interview people and we see it. So it was like, oh, at one point it was, right? I wonder. I don't know. But now I'm like, okay, so we've got 4 games, one in each of the seasons here, but we still don't know Halo and Call of Duty. We don't know about Gears. Is Gears this year? Do they bump it into next year? I'm just curious.
Yeah, I am hopeful that Gears hits this year, just because I'm excited to play Gears. But if I have to wait to 2027, then hopefully I survive that long. But dude, Campaign Evolved, that to me, and I know not everyone's going to agree with me on this, and I 100% respect your guys' like decision to have it where you want to have it. But for me, Halo was always a summer game. Like, it was always a game that I played with friends during the summertime. Like when I had college year round, but for whatever reason, summertime was when me and my friends, and especially like when I worked at GameStop, we would play Halo during the summertime, in the summer nights, because in Arizona, it's super hot, and you go out at night to go visit folks, because that's when it actually gets relatively cool. So I'd pack up my Xbox and my 22-inch or my 24-inch Zenith tube TV, and I'd get my little Ziploc baggie of my GameStop LAN cable, a hub, and we'd go to someone's house and we'd hook it all up. So that was always like the thing that we did. And I kind of hope that Campaign Evolved, especially with the 4-player co-op feature for the campaign aspect of this, kind of lands somewhere in the summer and gives us when we talked about this last month, but I want them to do something, or last week, I want them to do something where they have a major title each month, and it doesn't necessarily have to
12 months a year? Did we say
not
that?
not necessarily 12 months a year, but I think that
Okay.
having something to justify Game Pass each month with a big title that is not necessarily the same game, but at least something,
Mhm.
is a way to try and build that value. Because
Mhm.
if they're going to be charging $30 a month, I want to find something in there that is worth that money every single month. Having one game for every 2 months, I can still kind of justify like what I would want or expect out of a day one situation with Game Pass, but they've said all of these are going to be day one Game Pass for Ultimate. So I want them to try and justify that from the content that they're providing. Like they shouldn't necessarily have to rely on third party titles that were available on other platforms to fill in like the gaps in where their titles are. They have enough studios, they have enough games on the market. They understand like what they should be doing. Anything that's coming to Xbox outside of that should be a bonus, but I'm expecting to have big games to play every single month.
I agree with you in premise. I think 12's a lot, right? Just given the development landscape, but I'm fine if they're third-party games. Like Death Stranding is one of the ones that's in there. Gentlestone calling that out in chat. Death Stranding is a big game to land on Game Pass. I would like to make sure that Game Pass Basic subscribers, whatever that is, get some love. Like Kiln should not be on only Ultimate, right? Like, don't do
No,
that. You know?
they get cloud saves. Yeah,
Oh,
that's the
neat,
love.
neat. I just want to make sure there's something in there, but Microsoft Gaming and Xbox don't seem to see eye to eye right now. We haven't seen Phil or Sarah in quite a while. Now, interestingly, I mentioned Phil or Sarah. I've not heard much on that front, but you got in our notes here that Craig Duncan was talking about State of Decay 3. And Craig Duncan now, not of Sea of Thieves, for anybody that has forgotten or didn't remember, he's now the Xbox Game Studios head, which is kind of cool. But he was visiting Undead Labs, said the game is coming along really well, and he's, quote, very excited about the franchise and its potential, end quote. I'm fascinated by this because we knew State of Decay 3 was in development. We've known for a while, actually.
Yeah.
I genuinely love State of Decay 1 and 2. I think they capture that perfect AA vibe. It looks like they're going bigger with this one. I'm curious to see if that's actually the case. Where State of Decay has survived this big restructuring of Microsoft gaming, as it were. I don't know if it's being made in Copilot or not, but I'm curious where and when we see State of Decay again, because the Dev Direct feels like the right place to show a State of Decay 3. Not at this one, so we're waiting another year. And also, respectfully, it means absolutely nothing that Craig Duncan visited a studio. Just ask Blackbird Games or Blackbird or Project Blackbird or whatever it was that Phil Spencer couldn't be pulled away from. And then the next week, Satya is like, no, it's over. So
Phil Spencer or Ryan? No, Jim Ryan.
no, what? I didn't get
Blackbird Studios. Phil Spencer went there, or was it
Project
Jim Ryan that went there?
Blackbird. It was Phil. We're talking about the one Bethesda was making.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
And maybe I'm wrong with the name. Like, sorry, listeners, correct me if I'm wrong. But do you remember the event that I'm talking about where like he was so high on this new game, absolutely loving it, they couldn't pull him away, and then it's axed a week later or something like that? I don't think I'm wrong here. And
no,
again,
I don't think you are. I think I'm conflating it with the studio that got shut down the day after Jim Ryan visited to play their game in the UK.
I think that happened too. I think those are two things that did happen, and we're mixing and mashing. If only there was a way to figure it out, but there's no way to look it up.
There's not anyway. I'm already on Google. I've already hit up the chimpanzees that I have hired to be able to scrub data, and I haven't been able to find anything.
Nonetheless, I do hope State of Decay is coming along. Never Wild. Curious, but also other games weren't there apart from E-Day and State of Decay 3. And you put in our notes Clockwork Revolution. Were you expecting that one there?
I was hopeful. I mean, we saw it at the last showcase. So it would have been cool to get an update on that. At least a year would have been nice. In this instance, it's one of the games, much like with Outer Worlds, that it has a kind of satirical vibe that appeals to me. Steampunk is I mean, the culture of steampunk has some black stains on it, but the aesthetic is appealing to me, and the humor that they're bringing into this really resonates with what I love, that kind of satirical dry humor. So I was really looking forward to that, and it looks like we did. There has been some news about that. Studio head Brian Fargo has noted that this is In Exile's most ambitious title to date, and reportedly 10 times bigger than any of their previous projects. And that the game is the first person aspect of its RPG mechanics emphasizes the crunchy systems where players' choices have significance and visual impacts on the world, much like Fable, which to me is then I'm kind of like, dude, I like these kind of games where choices matter, story is relevant, and the gameplay is still fun. So if it's a smaller title, even if it's bigger than what In Exile's done in the past, but it's still like a roughly 40-hour kind of gameplay loop. That's something that I would like to actually see. So it looks like it's shaping up to be their biggest project ever, and that they're looking to have people actually replay it multiple times. So even if you're going through it with a single run, you're still going to miss about 30% of what's possible. So they want people to kind of go in and replay it, make some different choices and stuff like that, which is tough because I generally forget what my choices are. And when I go back to replay it, I go based on instinct, and I usually end up picking the same thing again because I'm bad at remembering that kind of stuff. So I'm hoping if I play through it again, I'll make choices that I would not normally make, and hopefully see content that I didn't get to see the first time. But yeah, Clockwork Orange and State of Decay 3.
Clockwork Revolution.
Or Clockwork Revolution.
You did it again. You did that last week.
I actually did that, yeah. Clockwork Revolution and State of Decay 3 are like the two games that are kind of on my watch list for stuff that I'm invested in. I'm hoping that there's a Captain Logun in State of Decay 3 the way there was with 2, but that remains to be seen. And I'm glad that at least on State of Decay 3's perspective, that is actually being a bit more of a collaborative effort, much in the same way that we saw with Grounded 2. Obsidian Entertainment is helping with State of Decay 3 to try and implement their shared world features and their kind of flexible online co-op system the way Grounded is right now. So like one person hosts the world, anyone can drop in and drop out into that world, or you can share the world and someone else can kind of take control of it and host it themselves so that other people can jump in and stuff. So I'm glad that they're doing that because that's something that I appreciate a lot with Grounded. I like having a world that I don't need to understand like how to maintain a server and boot up a server for a game so that everyone can play on that server and it has to be active if people are doing it. I just want to have a game where I have a world and I share that world with my friends, and then they can play it on their own or I can play it on my own, and then one of us can host it so that all of us can jump in and do stuff in there, especially with a game like State of Decay 3 or State of Decay, like in that world. That's what I'm happy to see is actually happening. So I'm hopeful that State of Decay 3 may not be 2027, maybe 2028, but still, I think that's going to be a game that they kind of know where to go. They're taking the next logical step from State of Decay 1 to State of Decay 2 to now State of Decay 3, and I think that they want to try and just keep refining that formula.
Okay, good stuff. Well said. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with it. I hope that game hits big. I hope it hits all platforms. I hope it has the stuff you're talking about, because those persistent worlds and those shared experiences are really, really fun. So
definitely.
Let's shift topics here, but I do want to call out, we've got 46 people live watching us right now. If you'd be so kind as to hit that like button, share it out to your friends. If you're so inclined to support us on the back end, feel free to become a channel member or a patron. It helps out, but just hit that like button, guys. It really is appreciated.
Yeah.
All right, Logan, for this one, I I wanted to take a question from Todd Oxtra, one of our amazing supporters. I love this question because it gave me a fun way to answer something. Todd wrote in over in our patron Discord and said, with news of Ubisoft canceling 6 games, Prince of Persia, so sorry guys. What canceled game from any studio would you bring back from the dead, and who would you pick to make it? I love my answer. You ready for this?
Yeah, what do you got?
All right. So I think that's a great question, Todd. Cancellations, they do hit hard because we always care about them deeply. We have this love and appreciation for different projects. If I could revive one project, I would still go with Scalebound, which is a very common Xbox friends answer. But the idea of fighting alongside a dragon is always very cool to me. I think you got some cool RPG elements. But because we're in Magic Land, I would not have Platinum make it. In fact, I'd give it to one of our Xbox umbrella studios. Think Ninja Theory or think Certain Affinity. I think it would be really cool to see the world and the ideas of Scalebound done with a different studio. I also kind of toyed with the idea of id Software because I'm ready for id to do something new. You know, I'm diehard Doom, right? I've got a gaming story that I'm working on similar to my Gears story that I want to share with people. But let these studios flex in different ways. If you don't let studios flex in different ways, you don't get Playground making Fable. You don't get Obsidian making Grounded. You don't get these cool studios doing something special that surprise people. So I want to see Scalebound made by a completely different studio because I think it would be fun. I think it keeps it within Xbox's orbit if you do just that. And I think that's just a neat answer to that question that I don't think will ever happen.
Interesting. Okay. I mean, I have no significance around. To me, Scalebound is just like a name that people talked about. I've seen the videos, but
I'm just having fun with it. I'm just having fun with it.
I would probably go with StarCraft Ghost because that was one of those games that we've heard about recently. We know that there's talk of something in that area that they want to do with StarCraft. There's been rumblings of like StarCraft getting some sort of attention beyond just the RTS gameplay style for that real-time strategy. But the idea of StarCraft Ghost, where you're playing as Nova and you're having to infiltrate in different parts of like Jim Raynor's crew and trying to actually like deal with the Zerg and the Protoss. That was a game that, like, as a third person shooter would be right up Coalition's alley. And I would love to see what the Gears team could do as like a mini project with a StarCraft Ghost and to actually Playground's efforts here. I think that them making a Fable with people who are passionate about it could actually benefit if you were to find people who are passionate about StarCraft and wanted to do StarCraft Ghost justice. I absolutely see a world where that universe is fantastic and it's story rich and it has tons of different characters that you could bring into it that I would love to see come to fruition beyond just what we've seen with the RTS games, because the stories being told in there it's fantastic, but there's so many areas that you could go with it that have yet to be explored. And I think because that game is so steeped in the RTS strategy genre, that if they were able to do Ghost justice with a team that understood how to do a third person shooter, it would excel beyond what the RTS has been, in a way that World of Warcraft stepped away from RTS and moved into the MMO genre that has sustained Blizzard for the last 25 years. And I would love to get more attention on StarCraft as an IP.
I think you're like cool concept. Love that you're having fun with it. Also, I do think like you said, we've been hearing rumblings. It would be neat if they had that show up. I do hope Xbox does a better job in the next few years of allowing some of those older titles, older IP to live and surface again. Figure it out. I don't care about licensing. I don't care about dead stuff. Like, figure it out. You're the biggest publisher in the world now. You're the biggest publisher in the world. You put games everywhere. Bring these back. That'd be cool. So, and Machine XP kind of calling out your I think your reference. Wasn't there another rumor again about a third person shooter in this world? Yeah, I think that was Jez Corden saying that. Shout out to Jez.
Yeah,
I think he was. So.
There's two characters that they could go with Nova, who would do really, really well in that game. And then there's another ghost called Tosh that if you know, you know. But I would love to have like Tosh and Nova as like the two characters that you could play in that StarCraft Ghost game if they did it right, because it would feel Tosh is kind of like he is just he exudes Batman, but with the look of Coltrane. And I just I appreciate the heck out of that, because he is just a quiet force to be reckoned with. Kind of like with what was his name in Ubisoft's Assassin's Creed? Oh my gosh!
Bayek?
Sorry,
do you mean Bayek, or are you talking about In Shadows?
In Shadows. What was his name?
Oh my gosh, those are my favorite games, and I'm just blanking because you're asking. I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
But yeah. The male protagonist in Shadows, Yasuke.
Yasuke.
Yeah.
Yasuke. Thank you.
Yeah, that's the kind of like vibe that Tosh brings to the table when it comes to the StarCraft universe.
Okay.
And him and Nova, I think it would be so much fun to play as either of those characters, or just have a campaign, just have like a dual campaign where like Shadows, you kind of switch between the two, and both have their own. It's kind of like a Jedi versus Sith kind of feel. Like one Tosh is kind of like a darker ghost with psychic abilities, and Nova's a little bit more. What is with the not the neutral, chaotic neutral? What's the positive of that whole system?
Chaotic good.
Good, I guess. Yeah. Okay. I don't know. I'm not a D&D'er.
Clutch Quando saying if he had his pick, it would be Def Jam Fight for New York, made by NetherRealm, which I think is a cool reference as well. I like that movies, you know?
That'd be fun. That'd be cool. NetherRealm would do some good job with that.
Some quick Game Pass news. Death Stranding Director's Cut joined Game Pass Cloud, Console, and PC. This is a huge third-party edition, which is very cool. This kind of follows up on Resident Evil Village, Ninja Gaiden Ragebound, and Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2 that have dropped in there. Obviously, with the Dev Direct, we got Fable, Forza Horizon, Beast of Reincarnation, and Kiln, which are all coming to Game Pass. Looks like on January 23rd, which is already past the time of this recording, Sims 1 and 2 was added to Game Pass Ultimate, though we didn't really see a lot of announcements for this one. And we've got a couple of other kind of things that are rolling into Game Pass as it goes. Game Pass, it's still good. I'm still not giving you more than $30 a month once my thing runs out. It doesn't matter how good the value is. You push my line too far, Microsoft Gaming. But I do love for everybody that is subscribed, they get to play Death Stranding if you're interested. That's a big deal for a lot of reasons, Kojima notwithstanding. You get to play Space Marine 2, which I know is on my backlog list, which is very, very cool. Game Pass continues to impress. Good on them. Fix the price. So.
Yeah.
Memories in Orbit dropped into Game Pass also, says General Stone. I saw Super Pack playing that when I was on Steam, which is cool.
He's been talking about that.
All right, so that kind of covers our big news, unless I missed something like drastically you want to talk about. I do want to throw out there that, Logan, as I've been prepping for kind of a Steam Machine world, I play on my Steam Deck all the time, right? The amount of free games that are available via Luna, Epic Game Store, Steam themselves, everyone should be subscribing to different outlets that give you updates on that and then redeeming those in your accounts. Because if you are an Xbox gamer and you are an Xbox hardware person, you are going to be able to get to those storefronts. So I really do want everybody that is listening, take the time. Make sure you're getting those Luna games, those Epic Game Store games. There's a lot of value to be had there. Steam does a lot of free stuff as well, because those storefronts are coming to your console space at some point. They're already there if you're a ROG Ally user, your Ally X user. So I just wanted to make that nice little like friendly call out. A lot of good stuff there. And then, of course, you got Humble Bundle and Fanatical that do some good support over there. So just giving you the shout out. So there you go. Did Clutch Quando said PS5 is greater than Xbox? Clutch Quando, are you fueling fanboyism? Goodness gracious. Goodness gracious.
Not with that controller.
Yeah, not that controller. Right.
Have fun hurting your thumbs with that controller.
I truly don't.
That's what happens. Honestly, like when it comes down to the controllers thing, the Xbox is just more comfortable for me, and I think it is purely just because of the asymmetrical versus symmetrical stick design. Like for whatever reason, symmetrical stick design, just my thumbs cramp after a while, and I don't know why that is.
I will tell you, I agree with you on the asymmetrical. I don't agree about Xbox controllers anymore because that Wolverine is just chef's kiss.
I mean,
Razer's Wolverine controller is amazing, but the point is gathered and appreciated here. And it's interesting to me to look at like Steam's new controller. What's Razer doing? How is Turtle Beach tackling a new? That's an interface, right? Like, how do you do that? Because gamers don't want too much change, but you know, what do you do on that front? So it goes. Clutch Quando trying to rewrite the narrative here, saying someone pulled deleted the comment. Hang on, I got questions here. Do you want to read this one? Go ahead.
Like it's me, the broke boy, coming in saying I bought a PS5 and spent another $200 on a Wolverine controller to get the Xbox layout for it. I may have to. I may have to because I genuinely love the games that I have on PlayStation. There's a reason why I have those games is because they're just not available anywhere else. At least until the Steam machine, and that opens up the venue for having my Xbox titles on my Xbox and my PlayStation titles on my Steam machine, along with the stuff that I have on there when I want to play on my TV, as opposed to I'm just currently like in front of my PC. But there were a couple things that I did want to shout out as kind of smaller news. Sure. High Guard, free to play PvP raid shooter by Wild Entertainment, the guys that founded the studios, the veterans who worked on Apex Legends and Titanfall. That's releasing Monday.
That's Jeff Keighley's big fan. Was that Jeff Keighley's like closer game?
I don't remember actually.
I think that was his closer to the Game Awards, and they didn't even pay for it. He just liked the game. This is the game we're talking about, which I'm pretty sure I'm right.
It's the combat, like you ride around kind of like Paladins, where you've got mounts. You ride into combat and you kind of like it's an arena shooter in that instance, but you play as wardens.
Are you interested in this one?
Not really.
Oh, okay.
Not really, but it's
pointing out for fans. Okay, I got you.
It's a high profile game that's coming out on Monday that I wanted to guide. The biggest thing for me is free to play. So barrier to entry very low, especially with a PvP game online. That is a good toss out. So I feel like they kind of read the room when it comes to that. You know, don't go charging $70 for an unknown entity. And then the other thing that I wanted to touch on was Arc Raiders. Because I think a lot of people understand, like, Arc Raiders is a phenomenal game and a phenomenon within gaming, especially over on Twitch. It's like one of the biggest games on Twitch. But they crossed 12 million. So it's been big news for fans of Arc Raiders. The extraction shooter has finally officially cleared the 12 million sales mark. Data shows it's a massive hit on Steam with over 7 million copies sold. But its performance on other platforms has been just as strong. It even had a huge surge over the holidays, moving 250,000 copies on Boxing Day alone. So if you haven't jumped into the action yet, now's a perfect time to see what the hype is about. So shout out to them. And then one small thing that I did want to touch on, and then I'll be done. Final Fantasy Remake Intergrade is a Play Anywhere title that is available for purchase over on Xbox. And for a limited time, that game will contain the original Final Fantasy VII Remake. So if you want to get access to not just Final Fantasy VII Remake, but the Intergrade as well, if you purchase that before January 31st, 2026, you will get access to the original game, or you'll get access to Remake as well as Intergrade for that price. So just want to let you guys know there is a time limit on that as of today, which is the 24th, that we're recording this on live over on YouTube. Make sure that if you wanted to check out Final Fantasy Intergrade and you wanted to get access to it and Remake, that you're getting that before it is no longer available.
Good call out. Good call out. Big thank you, by the way. Hey, that's our first super chat of the day. It's me, the broke boy, $1.99 super chat saying, I've been playing 2XKO from Riot Games. It's fun. I had a coworker of mine tell me about that one. I saw it on the dashboard as well. Free to play fighting game, right?
From Riot Games. So all of the League of Legends characters are in there. You get to play as them, and you get to, I think there's some Twitch drops available right now for them as well too, but solid fighter. Not big on fighters, but it's definitely like one of those things that it's like, hey, Riot did it. I hate the name, but they did it. And I think that kind of shows that teamfight tactics, Valorant and 2XKO are good indicators that Riot can build games beyond the MOBA genre of League of Legends, and hopefully does well for what their MMO will eventually be if that goes well. But glad to hear that people are enjoying the 2XKO, because that's one that they shotgunned years ago. Riot shotgunned this whole kind of idea of like them wanting to make like 6 games, and some of those got canceled. Others are actually out, and it's cool to see the ones that are out actually doing well, or at least being people like them. And I think, the general vibe is that they're doing well.
Yeah, that makes me happy. No, good call out there. Thank you for that one, for sure. I'm sorry, I blanked a bit because I was thinking about other IP, because Arcane's over on Netflix, and I was thinking about Witcher, and I just went down a rabbit hole in my mind.
I know. You didn't do the thing that I did and be like, yeah, I can't wait for Ciri to be in Witcher 3 or Witcher 4. And then just like the non sequitur just makes no sense because you weren't there with me in my brain.
Yeah, no, I got you. I will tell, hey, this is a fun call out just for as we kind of wind down here. Stranger Things is coming to Dead by Daylight, chapter 2 Stranger Things, which is cool. I've been having a good time playing as the Demogorgon. I am in season 3 of Stranger Things, having a good old blast. Really liking that show. That's been really fun for me to just kind of be consuming there. I think The Office is coming to Fortnite if it's not already there, which is weird. I don't know how I feel about that, but I love The Office.
Midler comments great.
So yeah, that's cool stuff in and of itself. And hey, I did want to give a call out. Had a great Jason Schreier interview 2 weeks ago. Interviewed the CEO of Gunner Optics. Nobody really caught on to that one. That interview didn't really like land big, but it had some cool Fallout New Vegas news in there for some partnerships there. But also, I really enjoyed the science behind Gunner tech and stuff like that. I get that it's not like mainstream news information that people would like dive into, but that interview does exist on the channel. If anyone does want to check that one out, I know our buddy Red Beast went and looked at it for me, and he said he enjoyed it. And it's not going to do like big numbers or anything, but I enjoyed the interview, and I like Gunner products, so it was appreciative there. Fair warning that they send me samples. They don't sponsor. I don't make money from them, but like they send me samples. I do want people to know that because I always want to be upfront and clear there. But I enjoyed it. It was an interesting interview.
Yeah. As much as I would love to get prescription lenses for because we got sent the Call of Duty Gunners a while back, and I actually really love the way that those look. There's been some other ones for like World of Warcraft and Fallout that I've really loved as well too. The Witcher ones were really cool looking. But one of these days,
drivers for sunglasses.
And those are one of those. It's one of those things where when I get around to actually picking up more contact lenses, I will probably wear my Gunners more often, because I opted not to get the blue light lens guards in these current prescription lenses because of the way they look when you take photos. It's weird how that works. But that's one of those things. It's like I am now getting a lot more blue light than I used to. Not that I'm feeling it, but I mean, I don't know until I start wearing Gunners more often, or at least some sort of blue blockers, to be able to kind of see like how that eye fatigue is affecting me on a day to day.
And like, Freight kind of called it out in chat. Like sometimes there's a lot of snake oil placebo stuff out there, and I think that's a very fair call out, and that's why like I enjoyed the interview for that reason because they even reference it. And
You know, yeah.
yeah, absolutely. But I do appreciate everyone that's listening to it. Quick shout out, Spreading the Nerd. Watched their episode last night. Enjoyed that. Freight was on there with Butch and Clint. Think that was good content. I'm watching the nerd chat right now. Kind of, as I go through stuff, I have a good podcast loose there. But in general, just thank you to everybody out there that's making content. We appreciate you guys because it's just fun, man. Rising tides lift all boats. Hey, Machine, thank you for the content. The comment says, like the Jason interview, very good. Luke's gotten really good at the flow. Thanks. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Nice.
Jason's an interesting interview because his mind wanders. So it's fun.
So does yours, though. So is yours.
Fair. Absolutely. Can't argue that. Can't argue that.
Mine, though.
Yeah.
I was having a conversation last night with friends playing Sea of Thieves, and we got on a tangent, and then a chick was trying to bring me back to the original point, and I'm like, no, we tangent. We'll make our way back to it, but the tangent has to finish before we can get back on the main road.
Yep. All right, my friend. That's gonna be it from me. Do you have anything you need to call out before we exit?
No, unless you guys are in a Sea of Thieves, there's a Keelhaul podcast. We're doing our Gold Hoarder episode. The new event is out for season 18. There's a lot of kind of a general discussion around some of the controversy or some of the choices that Rare is going to be making for season 19 that a lot of people are not happy about. So we're probably going to be talking about that this week. So if you want to hear any news or keep up with what's going on with the Keelhaul podcast, that's out there. Comes out every Monday, and then the YouTube version typically on Monday or Tuesday, depending on how I can get that edited and thrown together and uploaded. So, but that's all that's going on for me. Otherwise, keep an eye out for the random interjections on the Discord server when I remember to be social and talk to multiple Discords outside of my own.
Remind him.
I'm always like, I'm in mine, but then I'm usually like everyone else, I just kind of go and read, and I don't think to like respond. So I'm like, oh, that's interesting. And then I'm like, okay, let's go do something else.
That's my Blue Sky problem, right? Yeah. Like I engage with our Discord daily. Love it. That genuinely brighten all my day. Sometimes on Discord, I forget that I'm supposed to hit like and comment because I'm reading it and enjoying it, but I forget to. And that's such an important part of the people that are making the content. Like you want to help them out and be kind. So yeah.
I can't wait for Blue Sky to start reminding me to like and subscribe.
All right. Well, that is going to be it from us, everyone. We appreciate you. We hope you have a fantastic rest of your week. Take care. Bye.